everyone. Welcome to Beyond Life Paranormal Research Missouri's podcast. I'm your host, Russell Reynolds. My guest tonight, you probably have seen him on the hit TV paranormal show Ghost Hunters International. He was the lead investigator. He was also on the show Haunted Australia as the lead investigator. He's was also featured on an episode of TAP's Ghost Hunters. Welcome my guest at this time, Rob Dermarest, and we'll bring him up. Hey Rob, welcome to the show.
I was holding like this big breath. I was like, and here he is. Hey, first things first, we got to talk about the intro music. I like that everything is like copyright free. It was like, You like Metallica? Well, this is plastic. It was like, you like New Age? Well, this is kind of middle ground age.
Right.
And then you're like, are you ready to be creeped? And there's you with an ice cream cone. Are you ready for things to go bump in the night? You're riding a tricycle in front of Waverly Hills. You got to spook it up a little bit, man.
Yeah, Brandon made those for me, actually.
See, we know that Brandon is busy tonight, so we can talk. We're just going to blame everything that goes wrong on Brandon.
Right.
Well, actually, you know who did all the music? That was Brandon. That was he picked out all the photographs that we used, But yeah, man, this is the first time. I was supposed to be here a week ago, and I have been on and off sick as a dog for like a couple months. And so last week he just kind of got the best of me. And Tim Lovejoy is joining us. He was joining us live from the North Central Ohio Paranormal, or Sapakalopsin and Sika. Whew.
Welcome in, Tim.
I kind of enjoy that. What happened to teams having that kind of like, TITS and SHIT, and like everyone used to have to, there was TAPS and PRS and GHI, and like we need, like, I guess. Hey, I got a question, Russell. If
Sure.
you're in the media space, as it were, does Sam and Colby have a name for their show?
Not really. They just call it Sam and Colby. That's pretty much what I've seen so far on YouTube.
Because I tried my own YouTube show, Rob Eats Stuff.
Right.
And sometimes I'd eat nachos, and they'd be like, oh, you're going to eat like a ton of them? I'd be like, no, just, a handful with some cheese. So I guess it was because there was no real angle I was working from, that no one was really buying into it. But yeah, it used to be like TBZT, and now it's like Sam and Colby.
Yeah.
The Ghost Brothers. And I'll be honest, I think there's a big disconnect now. And I think that you're part of it. And the reason I say that is you've got the cable TV crowd, Zach Baggins, Jason Hawes.
Right.
You've got the kind of streaming space, which is kind of yourself, the Paraflix, the different organizations and independent shows out there. And then you've got even younger group, which I think is your YouTubers. I said, I remember when it would transition over time.
Right.
Everyone knew who Jason Hawes was, but they might not have known who Zach Baggins was. Well, pretty soon they know who Zach was. But now most people, they don't know who any of us are. But if you show them a picture of Sam and Colby, You know, they're getting 12 million hits in a week. You know, that's crazy. That
yeah, it is.
numbers.
And we don't even get that. I mean, we're on YouTube, TikTok. I mean, I'll be lucky if I get 3 or 4 views.
Well, it also, think about it. It's you get all these people who they have to kind of put their money, like yourself, being honest. You got to put your money where your mouth is now, because you're like, all right, well, I'm doing my own show, my own investigations, my own thing. And somebody's like, yeah, you said you were going to keep it honest. And you're like, yep, no problem. Then they're like, damn, man, your show's not as exciting as, you know, Brian Wells' show. That thing's crazy. He's just got ghosts everywhere. Demons come out. He knocks one demon out. Another one gets on his back. You know, so when you start competing, when you start competing, it goes down and down and down and down.
Yeah.
And so now, and people are competing for the same small viewership. So I think it's kind of funny now when I see the paranormal beef. I hate this one. I hate that one.
Right.
You're fighting over the same 7 viewers.
Yep.
You know, and they, most of them, like you said, you know, and we had a comment in the chat. YouTube is tough because it is a hot commodity that, being honest, someone my age, you know, in my late 20s, I wasn't up on, I didn't catch the kind of craze. You know, that's for the younger people. So while everyone was still dreaming about a cable TV show, I might be on Discovery. These kids, 22-year-old kids, are making more money than all of us ever made.
Brian's right there. A lot of people sipping on haterade, and that's very true.
Well, it's, you know, and I've said it myself, and that gets you, you know, you talk about a bigger subject, which is, you know, how everyone says, hey, be careful how you act on the way up, because you're going to see those people on the way down too. Yeah, you got to see them. And I'm going to tell you something, people in the paranormal, if you haven't experienced this, I'm going to teach it to you as fact. The people on the way up, no matter how much they smile in your face, they hate you behind your back. Every time that you get something, they see that as something they should have had.
Right.
I'm younger than him. I'm better looking than him. I'm nicer than her. I've been doing it longer than him. You know, they're mad at you. So as much, Russell, you're the man, and I kiss your butt. On the way back down, you're going to be happy. Now you're happy.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I told you that guy was garbage, and it makes more room for you to move up. So you just got this very small community now. You know, oh my God, if I could get a ghost show. Nowadays, who would know? Who doesn't have a show somewhere?
I agree.
And you know, I mean, here's the real deal. And I see people doing this non-organically. Let's say right now we want to make a new show. We're gonna do something groundbreaking. Well, what do we know we're gonna see on every show we watch, right? YouTube, you know, streaming service, Amazon Prime, Discovery. We're gonna hear about the history of the place, but we've seen the place. Hi, Carol. We've seen the place a dozen times anyway. Right? We're going to do a walkthrough and hear a little more about, oh, and I got scratched. And we're going to go, uh-oh, we better use this device tonight. Every show. And now we're going to cut to a few moments where we go, did you hear that? What the? Huh? Who the? We're going to do a couple of those. And then we're going to go, man, that was a great investigation.
Right.
Poof. So how would you, if you said, okay, there's 1,000 shows like that, 1,000 of them. What I want to make a show that isn't that. And people are going, okay, well, I can do that. I'm going to go, to demons. Like I'll bring more demons in. Okay, cool. That worked, like
Right.
before it was Bigfoot and now it's Skinwalker. You got to keep taking it further. They found evidence at every location. Right. Brian's exactly right.
Yeah.
Every location. Well, come on. That's his business. That's what he does for a living. But everywhere that they've been, what happened to where it's like, whoa, that's that guy, Russell. I've seen his show before. Where is he? I've never seen that spot before. It's getting so, all these places are like, yep, $500. You got to clean the microwave yourself and make sure you did no pets. It's all like a bad hotel business now. Julie is on as well. She wanted you to know that, Russell.
Yeah. Hey, Julie. She actually works with us, with my team.
Well, we like to say to ourselves, she works with everyone's team.
Yeah.
And then the funny thing about that, as we're thinking about the new show, who would we want to see on a new show? Melissa thinks she hasn't answered. Okay, so Melissa brings up a good point. She said the thing with every investigation, she said it's true until Russell comes in and then it gets fake. So that's what she just said right there. That's her comment, not mine. That was, okay. That threw me off a little bit. But anyway, the point is, how now, Brown Cow, how is one investigator better than another?
I don't know. I mean, to me, I think everybody's all the same. There's always something.
I disagree. Oh, here we go. See, now we've got the ultimate one of the battles. Oh, I'll twist it. We're going to get twisted up in here. So here's what's going on is if we say, hey, look, every investigator is right. There's no such thing as a wrong answer, man.
Right.
Then we never get anywhere because we can never say anything's wrong because that might hurt someone's feelings. A lot of the techniques, no, not within my ranks. I don't consider myself part of that, I am not fighting to get on some network show or do any of that. Like, I feel weird about people who are trying to do it, who that's their dream. But yeah, I mean, Melissa's right. So do we want someone funny? Do we want someone serious? I mean, Brian, I agree with you. I'm hit or miss on that one. It can be really annoying if I say, or Brian puts up, hey, we had a great investigation. I tried this new technique using helium balloons. Well, I go, yeah, me and Russell did that 10 years ago. So everyone's hating on everything. But yeah, it does get let's say that I fix TVs. There's only one downside. I suck at it. Never learned how. I guess kind of screw around with a screwdriver. So I come to you and I say, Russell, you don't know a damn thing. You know, I have been working on TVs for 30 years.
Right.
All these people nowadays saying, I've been ghost hunting for 25 years. No, you haven't. I know, you know, Russell, you were around. I'll give you your due. You were around. A couple of people I still remember, but not many. You know, those people got bored of it. All right, so no one should judge anyone. So there's no criteria in which I can say I consider myself a better investigator than Mike. There's no way that one can rate one being better than another.
Right.
No, that's what I'm asking the guests in the chat room. Because there's this concept like, look, we should all just go along with, and I'm like, no. You're not going to tell me that your Xbox controller sees MC Hammer as a stick figure ghost. You can say that all you want, but I can say it's wrong, and you don't get to say, hey, you can't say that, man. It's my idea and everything's equal. Is it equal? His name's Rob. The jerk, what's his name, is Rob from G High or something like that. But I mean, okay, Russell says he's got a technique to talk to spirits, and he shows me EVP work. I say, well, I've got a technique to talk to spirits too. I flip a coin. Heads means yes, tails means no, and I ask the spirit to decide in the air what it wants to, the answer to the yes/no question. Is there no way to say that one of our techniques better than the other?
Not really, no.
Really? So why am I spending, $1,500 on an Ovilus or a Puck or a Xbox Connect or whatever you call that thing? I mean, you're saying that if I just stick my finger, I go like this. Eyes are shut. I stick my finger in an encyclopedia. Any word that my finger lands on is what the ghost wants to say. I mean, so Melissa, to go further into your thought process, if Russell says, well, look, I'd like to defend what I'm doing, and he shows me how EVP couldn't work under circumstances that we understand yet. And then I say, well, I'm going to show you how the coin works. And he breaks it down and he says, well, Rob, you can see how the coins just chance 50-50, and I'm actually getting an occasional answer to a question. So don't I get to say, oh, no, Russell, you got me. What you're doing is better than what I'm doing. If I can at least put some thought into it, doesn't that count for anything? I mean, it's hard to answer, Melissa. It's hard to know what anyone believes. If I wanted to do an event and make sure that everyone had the best time they ever did, then I would bring an SB11 out. And as soon as I would say, what's your name? And when it made a sound that was anything close, I'd say, Mike. Everyone else hear Mike. Make sure they get it into their head and they're going to go home and say, man, that was a fantastic evening. So I don't know who believes what anymore. Same with Carol Garcia. And that's why I'm saying that I think it is important. If Russell and I are both using it because that's what we believe, that's one thing. If he's using it because he's looking to find the paranormal and I'm using it to trick people with my coin flip, that's something different. I know some of the people you see on TV are using the instruments to, put on an entertaining story for the viewer. Tim is absolutely right. And Tim and I have gone forth here and there on SB7, SB11, just like he could come back and say, okay, let's talk about, the RRDR60. Let's really get into that discussion. I'm sure the two of us could go back and forth all day. But he gives a good point of what I was getting at, is that I can respect it more because I know that he believes what he's doing, just like I do. He's not doing it because he's trying to trick me. Okay. Woo. That is a read it in your head full.
Yep.
Are we going to play Guess Who It Was? I'm going to go with Sergi from Paranormal State. Nope. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with people. I have not seen a podcast or people from podcasts doing investigations, particularly they're staged. But for the most part, they also don't need to. You're Carol Garcia, you're going to agree just to agree, and you're just going to have to agree to that. That's something we can agree on. I know. That got me thrown off somewhere else. So anyway, it's just weird when I see these people on, these guys hate these guys, and I've heard bad things about. I'm like, how many listeners do you think there are total for all the podcasts? Well, let's pick a number. Let's make it representative. Let's say there's 100. Frank giving a honest, fair response. So let's say that there are 100 people who are going to be listening to your podcast. I would say out of those 100, we've got 81 podcasts. So for every podcast that's trying to get, some of those 100 listeners, there's 80 other podcasts competing. So you're lucky if you're grabbing 2 or 3 out of that 100. Now you make that representative, it might be 200, it might be 2, it might be 200, it might be 2,000, 2 million. Yeah, I don't know this one's a podcast, this one's a blogcast, and I'm too old to know that much stuff. But yeah, but my point is that there's not a lot of food on the table for people to eat at. So I agree with an earlier comment that I don't have to agree with the methodology you used, but I can respect the thought process you used to get there.
Nancy wants to know if you keep freezing or it's her.
It might be her attitude. Russell, are you getting anything?
No,
Thank you, Tim.
I think it's Nancy's on her end.
Yeah, because I'm Ethernet. I'm pretty quick here. But yeah, I think that definitely, as someone who's getting into the space of podcasting and I'm like, all right, well, do you want to, so if all right, going way back when I was on Florida Ghost Team, it was my job to get the list the guests for our show. Our guest was on at like 2 a.m. on a Sunday on an AM radio show. No listeners, nobody ever called in. And I was getting people, we got Zaffis, we got Hawes, we got Linda Godfrey, a lot of the big names back then. No one ever called in. So when I did a TV show, if someone comes to me and says, hey, could you do our show? We don't have that many listeners. Hell yeah, I can, because I've been right where you are. Where you're trying to get these great guests, and even now it's getting tough. So Russell, if you said I want to really bring in a name that is going to bring in a ton of viewers for next week, who would you bring in?
That's a tough one. Probably John Zaffis would be one of them.
That's your big showstopper?
Yeah, I mean, I like Zaffis, and
this isn't about who you like. This is about we're going to get you the most viewers we can for one night.
I mean, Zach Bagans would be one of them because everybody follows Zach.
Zach Baggins. I would go the other route. I would go for the youth market and I would be like, oh, which one is less annoying, Sam or Colby? Whichever one is less annoying, I want that one. And just like cross promote.
Right.
So my point is that instead of everyone fighting each other over the scraps at the table, everyone should be like trying to get along and endorse each other's stuff. Like, look, you're not going to listen to 30 podcasts, a day, but, I want to promote the ones that I work with and the people I get along with. Kelly Osbourne. Does she count as paranormal? That's a good question. I'm really thinking of not whether I like them or they're good. Like, I want to bring in the most people for one time. Like, you guys are like if I said I've got a show, hey everyone, this week it's gonna be Kelly Osbourne. Hey, look, I got, 20 listeners. She doesn't really do that many shows. And I'm trying, Jack Osborne, I feel like, oh, Carol, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope everything
Carol.
works out.
Yeah, prayers for your family. Melissa said I'd bring in the original cast from Ghost Hunters.
Because she said that her daughter was in a car accident?
No, for the podcast guest.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay. If I was going to, like, I want to bring in one Kim Russo. Yep, Kim Russo. You know what else rhymes with Kim Russo? No comment to so. But who? No, you would not. Rose, I'm sorry. I like Andrea Perrin. I think she's great. But she's been on every single podcast known to man.
A lot.
We want. How many podcasts have you heard Zach Baggins on? I've never heard him on a podcast. We can argue about why. I've never heard Jack do a podcast. I've seen, all the Ghost Hunter guys, the Paranormal State, Kling Brothers, Ghost Brothers. But I think for whatever reason, when you get up to the level of fame of like a Ghost Adventures or a Jack Osborne, they don't feel that they need to, I don't want to say cater to this audience, but, they figure, yeah, see, so if Jack's going to do a podcast, he's going to be on JRE. He's not going to be, trying to capture another 100 Ghost fans. Wait, who did I take that back? I think Chris Jericho, when he did a spotlight on Ghost Hunters, he had Baggins, I think. But that was only because they were doing like their little star crossover. I've never heard like so-and-so, Nightwalker Paranormal is here tonight with Aaron from Ghost Adventures. Hi, Tracy. I mean, I Ghost Brothers, one brother scurry, we all scurry. I think you're confused between, you're thinking of Ghost Pirates, which is another show. Ghost Brothers is, are they still going?
I don't think so. I think they got canceled.
Again?
Yeah, I haven't seen any episodes out posted.
I used to always kind of have my finger on the pulse. And then it was like Chris and TWC were like had 9 different shows. They had Ghost Asylum and Ghost Monkey. Yeah, Art Bell is actually a really smart choice, because I think that you would merge, if we're talking about just people that would tune in, you would be connecting your name to a legacy that is starting to fade away. The Ghost Brothers said, let's go pop the trunk on these ghosts. Which is kind of a weird, they're African American. No, I think they're from like St. Louis or something. But it's kind of a weird thing to do the let's pop the trunk on these ghosts, because why would it like when they had okay, bring back the original cast of GHI. Well, Susan didn't come until the very end. That would just be Barry and I. The last two was myself and Barry. But like Barry's a good example. He doesn't do a lot of podcasts. So you're gonna bring in a fair amount of listeners to rope him in, but not as much as like a Zach or a Jack.
Yeah.
Apparently, if your name rhymes with like Ack, you'd be a good person to have. My dog's trying to chew its way under the door. Stop it, dog. Yes, Ghost Pirate said if one Ghost Pirate scurries, we all scurry. Amy Bruinaying and Ryan Buell. Amy, used to run the show for Jay and Grant back in the day. So I don't know if you're going to, and she's done a lot of, I think of it in terms like this. I didn't do as many paranormal conventions as I did like big comic book conventions. I just thought it was cool. Like you go up, you see like, hey, it's John Zaffis. But then 2 seconds later, like, hey, it's Junkyard Dog from WWE, or it's Todd Bridges from Different Strokes. Like, I get a kick out of that. And so the fewer, Brian, thank you for coming in. Have a great night.
Thanks, Brian.
But so the fewer the autographs you have floating Ghost Pirates, the fewer autographs you have going around out there, the more they're worth. So, like a William Shatner is worth less than, I could be wrong, than a Leonard Nimoy. Because Shatner's been doing autograph signings pretty much every weekend for 3 decades. And so I am going to give my ultimate, like, no old school people. Brian, good night. Oh, I thought it was like a ghost person I didn't know. Would anyone be into if I got the kid from The Shining?
Yeah.
Russell thinks that would be, yeah, it's not lighting up the boards. I'm just seeing how that would test. We're taking that to market and we're not getting much of a response.
Right.
I'm trying to think of I did not know. I'm just reading what Tim had to say. I mean, I assumed that the Area 51 caller was either staged or that Art knew about it. But I didn't think it was entirely a stage from the beginning, top to bottom. I thought he was kind of in his head, knew something, it was fixed, but knew it was making for great content too. It's like different generations. Yeah, like, Robert Englund, he's a good example. For a long time, he wasn't doing conventions, so his autograph was worth a lot of money.
Right.
Next thing you know, his acting gigs start drying up. He's doing tons of them. Yeah, that makes sense to me, Tim. I mean, I mean, was he tricked? It's like, Russell, you say, what's the scariest whatever investigation you've ever done. So I tell you a story about, and then the ghost shoved me down the stairs and it left a sign of a cross on my neck, and you're just sitting there nodding. Uh huh. Uh huh. All right. Well, that's all the time we've got. So, did I trick you, or were you just being a polite host?
Right.
And going, all right, I'm not going to say, I vouch for this guy, but it's a good story. It's like I was watching Unsolved Mysteries reruns. How many of them now turn out to be the stealth fighter testing? Yes, but here's the thing. I'll give a secret about women in the paranormal. Tim just called Robert Stack a woman in the paranormal. That was very un-PC of him, but okay. Robert Stack is a woman in the paranormal now. So here's the odd thing. Who is the vast majority of the viewing audience for ghost hunting shows? MN-splain. Yes, MN-splain is right. Oh yes, she was the original host of Unsolved Mysteries. They were quite good at it. So here's the weirdest thing is women ages 30 to 55 are the major drawing target audience for ghost TV. So they say, I'm tired of watching all these shows and it's always guys running the team. Always got to be a guy. You know why? Because they and this is coming from a network executive that number one, they don't really care what you think. Well, I mean, yeah, I'm doing the notes and the point of the story is that if they won't do a show with all women running the team and maybe a guy or two. Nope, not because they think that women are too hysterical, because they think that you are watching it to see a big brave man at a spooky scary place that could protect you, and it wouldn't hurt if he was some big strapping young lad. I'm not speaking for myself, but Zach Baggins, Jason Hawes, Chris from TWC, Ryan Buell, these are all pretty good sized individuals. So the point of the story is that it's interesting that you see women saying, yeah, we need more representation for women in the paranormal, but their inclusion is the very reason that they don't make more. If women would watch ghost shows about women, they would make only ghost shows with women. That's true. Women be shopping. That's what Russell always says to me. I'm like, Russell, what are you doing? He's like, oh, sitting in my car waiting around. Women be shopping. That's just one of the things he's always saying. Yeah, I'm not saying that I agree with him. I'm not even gonna go touch that one.
I think a lot of it too is probably for ratings too. Whatever is going to give the show a good rating, you got a good-looking girl there on a team that everybody can look at.
I have heard directly from network executives they're called eye candy. They're paid much less than their male counterparts, and they're not particularly respected or there for their views. Like Amy Bruni is the one that doesn't fit the mold. And I think that I don't know how her audience skews. I've never watched her shows, so people say to me, "Well, how do you watch, like talk about all these shows if you don't watch them?" I can watch them for about 3 minutes and tell you what's going on. Sorry. And then it gets old because somebody says, yeah, well, that's why the only show that I'll watch is, and then they'll name a show that I know for a fact is staged.
Right.
Yeah. Amy, like I said, I investigated with her before she was on TV. She was supposed to be on GHI and wound up on GH. I don't know who came to GHI, but yeah, I'm glad that the show's going well for her and Adam and Chip. But I mean, I'm not hearing the big announcements like I used to. There was Discovery does what it keeps trying to do, throwing the same shows with the same 5 people out there over and over and over. Yeah, no, that's women. If they're not shopping, they're always like, "Eek, it's a ghost! Oh, help me, burly guy!" Yeah, no, you're right about that, Nancy. That is right, nail on the head. Women be shopping.
And I mean, I've got some women on my team, and they work pretty good. I mean, they're solid investigators.
I mean, right before we came on the air, what did you say to me? You said to me, "Who's going to make the snacks?" And no. I mean, I'm not knocking what you said. That's an important point. I just feel like, why couldn't both the men and the women make the snacks? And you said, well, you need somebody with some strength to carry the equipment, not those little girly string arms, you said. Remember?
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was like right before you came on the air.
Now you're gonna get me in trouble.
No, I remember you were listening. You were like reviewer, like, Rob, hold on. You've been like, you were listening for the EVPs. You're like, man, I've been listening so long, this worse than The View.
Yep, here I go. Now I'm getting the backlash.
No. No, I it's like you said,
Well, most of my viewers got to know you and I got a relationship that goes back a long time, so we always nag on each other.
Pause. Yeah, no, I do it all the time, and wow. Betty Robinson said that the last time she investigated with you, You said that she should check out the kitchen in case there's a female ghost. Not cool, bro. Not cool.
Oh, I got a buddy of mine says if there's ever a naked ghost, he'd find it.
When we were doing it was myself and Dustin Perry and Josh Gates was there, Germany. And the story was that every night on New Year's Eve, the ghost would get really drunk and go and walk naked. Or no, the guy who was the caretaker would get drunk because of a ghost of a woman would walk up the hill up to the top of the tower. And he would wait there once a year for her naked. And I remember myself and Dustin being like, so for New Year's Eve, you get drunk in an empty tower and wait for her to show up? And he's like, yes. He's like, so what are you going to do if she like shows up? Here she is. Sweet. I mean, that like I can't even tell. You know, I mean, when we were doing the Lady Bathory, another Dustin Perry, it was myself, an older woman, and Dustin, and the woman next to or it goes the woman, me, Dustin, and every time she's shifting on her feet, she's breaking wind, like really loud. And so I keep looking over out of the side of, corner of my eye at Dustin, and he's like, I see he's like holding, he's shaking. And then finally she just like went up on one knee and just ripped one. And I was like, I looked at my camera guy. I was like, yo, are we supposed to not like pretend this isn't happening right now? Like, oh my God. Some of those, I mean, we went to some cool places in Eastern Europe, but man, did we have some bad luck with some of them. Lady Bathory, we said, oh, this is where she, the Lady Bathory, we asked where did she drink, or where did she take a bath in the maiden's blood? So it turned out she didn't. That was made up by the king because her husband owed a big war debt. So the whole story was made up. And the castle ruins that we were investigating for the show were just some, like, where they kept her for a year before she died of old age. And we were like, well, what kind of, ghost happenings? A psychic said that he had a vision of a girl running with blood dripping off her, but that makes no sense because it's the wrong castle. Like, some of it was just like somebody should have. Usually you've got people who go ahead of your show. Yeah, I don't talk about my Middle East spirit adventures. Mainly because it's expressly forbidden to have anything to do with jinn in the Middle East. So I want to keep my head.
Melissa said they hang around you there.
You can't throw a rock at night because it might hit a jinn that's standing in the dark, and you can't spit into the wind at night because it might hit a jinn. You also can't pee standing up And Russell, what did you say to me earlier when I told you that?
Where was that?
No, what did you say?
I don't remember now.
Oh, you said doesn't sound like a me problem, sounds more like a she problem. Remember when you said that?
No, I don't remember that. Must be my old age.
Oh, okay. No, it happens. Yep, Melissa remembers. Melissa remembers when you said that. Betty remembers. Oh my God, you got a rep over here. Well, I think we established tonight that the greatest guest you could have would be one of the Sam and Colbyers, Art Bell, or Zachy B. And maybe that's what we all learned tonight.
Right. Yeah.
What do you think? Everyone who is out there tonight, what do you think we learned tonight that we didn't know 1 hour ago? Huh.
They're all quiet.
Oh, no, there's one. We know that Russell hates women. Huh. Okay, not quite what we were going for. Ah, thank you, Tim with the saving grace. And that I'm a little punk. Yes, indeed I am. Indeed, I'm deed. But if I was a little punk, why would I have the perfect man, milk chocolate bomb? Woo!
And no, Nancy, I don't have another side to me. This is just Rob and I bickering back and forth at each other.
What did you say? You said we're like two old women shopping.
Yep, we are.
All right, my friends, I'm afraid that is my time for the evening.
Yep, we're at our hour mark. I'd like to thank you for being on my show, Rob.
As always, anytime, my friend. You have a great night.
You too. We'll stay in touch.
All right.
Have a good night.
I would too. And boop.
Thanks, everybody, for joining me. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. I knew it was going to be raw and uncut. My buddy Rob says what he feels. So, everyone, have a good night, and thanks for tuning in. We'll see you all again next week.